Hello there, thanks so much for tuning in. So I'm Tim and this is my Carbon Coach. It's a channel all about allotment life, eco living, all of that kind of good stuff. So hope you've all been keeping well. The weather's been really up and down. Certainly down here in Somerset we had some crazy rain yesterday and more rain is on the way later on today from what I've heard. So it was time. I haven't really had much chance over the past week to come up to the allotment, I'm sorry to say, but I have been cracking on with jobs. So the last of the weeding has been done behind me. So I've got all of the last sort of bed and a half freed from weeds, and the pathway between myself and my neighbour is all clear and hunky-dory. So I'm in the clear really from being a menace to my neighbours, so that's really nice. Before we get started, I just wanted to briefly say a thank you to my wonderful friend Bethan. Now Bethan has helped me to launch a CIC, a community interest company called Tidy Up Taunton. You might have heard me mention it in previous videos, and basically it's a litter picking charity-ish community group basically, and the aim is to try and tidy up Taunton as much as possible, and get us to the status of being a plastic-free town where no one drops litter and everyone is super proud and just really taking care of our town. We are the county town of Somerset, and I think that we deserve better than what we're getting at the minute. So it's partly just going out picking up litter, it's partly advocacy and sort of holding the local councils to account, and it's partly education. So at some stage I will be sort of going into schools or community groups and things like that and giving talks and yeah, all of that kind of good stuff. Anyway, so my lovely friend Bethan helped me. She's a co-director of it, because you need two people to set up a CIC to make sure you're not doing any swindling and stuff like that. And she brought me a present and it's absolutely beautiful. It's this framed artwork, and it's actually made by another wonderful local lady called Susie, Rocket & Co, and you might have heard me mention her on the channel previously before. But yeah, it's the old throw your litter in the bin, but it's made out of a map of Taunton, and so it's a second-hand map as well, so it's got eco credentials, but it's absolutely beautiful. So I just wanted to say thank you to Bethan, and also to thank you to Susie for making that for me. So on to the actual video. So it's going to be a bit of a sort of recap of all the jobs I've been doing today, and I've been trying to chip away at doing a lot. Like I said, I've cleared the weeds from the back, so that was a huge job. Something else that I really needed to do was to trim back the mint, which was going absolutely crazy, the basil mint, and yeah, it'd grown like super tall, so that needed like a complete haircut, just like a flat top across the top of it to get it a bit more under control. The sage bush as well, absolutely crazy. I'm kind of regretting growing sage at the minute. It's not a herb that I use on the regular either, so I don't know what to do. If any of my local friends are after a sage bush that likes to grow and grow, then by all means hit me up and yeah, put dibs on that, because I might replace it with a slightly more manageable herb. I also need to trim up the lemon balm. I'm going to make some pesto out of that. However, I've run out of space to actually put anything else. So that was kind of an update on the herb beds. Oh, what I've also done actually is just trimmed up some of my thyme, taken some of the flowers off the top of the thyme, taken off some of the oregano as well, and I'm going to trim up some rosemary, because the next thing that I did and took care of was the potatoes. So they've fully flowered and the flowers have disappeared and died back, and last weekend B and Evie, my two nieces, as well as Eli, my nephew, came down, and with associated family as well, not just them on their own, and B and Evie had actually planted the seed potatoes with me, so it was time to dig them up. So we only dug up one plant, and they were able to take the potatoes home with them. And there goes the train, right on cue. We made it quite far into the video without the train appearing. I really should look up the time. I should have a train timetable pinned inside my shed so that I can time my recordings suitably. Anyway, so it's time for me to dig up some more potatoes. So I'm just kind of, at the moment, going to do one plant at a time because I can't eat that many potatoes. So yeah, they're looking absolutely beautiful, some gorgeous new potatoes, and this year they are looking lovely as well. Last year they didn't have blight or anything like that. They just had a little bit of potato scab or whatever it's called on them. This year, absolutely none of that. They're just looking stupendous. So yeah, I'm going to have those, just boil them up, just chop some butter onto them, a load of herbs, and yeah, just perfection. So that's been going on. What else was I going to say? My onions. So I had some red onions left in there and one row of garlics in the bed, and I've dug those up now as well. Something had been munching away at the top of the leaves and the stalks or whatever they're called, and I thought it was about time that I dug them up. Some of the red onions have done absolutely amazingly and they look beautiful, nice sort of relatively good sized bulbs. Some of them aren't any larger than the original sets that I planted, just with a bit of a stalk coming out of the top. Goodness knows what happened there. I'm not going to give up on red onions though, because I love them. I love making red onion chutney. Just roasting red onions is absolutely beautiful. Recipe time again. So literally, if you get a red onion, obviously take off the outer layers, but leave it as whole as possible. You might want to slice off the bottom of it as well, so it's like able to sit nicely. You then want to put a cross in the top of it, just all the way through, just so that it kind of opens up a little bit. And then what you want to do is get some butter again, and what I use is thyme, but you can use any sort of really flavourful herbs, and you want to mash the thyme into the butter so it's kind of like loose, it's more of a paste than butter, and then you want to really shove that into the cracks that you've just cut in the garlic. Roast it for, I can't remember how long, 20 minutes or something like that, until all of the butter's just melted and just sort of gone into the onion, and that is absolutely gorgeous as well. If you're feeling super fancy, you could get a bit of pancetta or like streaky bacon or something, just wrap it around the outside of the onion and just skewer it with a cocktail stick, and again, just incredible. And then that helps it to sort of stay as a whole as well. So yeah, Tim's top culinary tips there. The garlics that I've just dug out as well are looking great. Only one or two of them went a little bit bad. I'm really hoping, someone mentioned garlic white root rot or something like that, so that's really hard to say with my R's that comes out as W's, but yeah, root rot is a potential. I'm really hoping not, but anyway, I'm going to rotate the bed, so this autumn's onions to overwinter into next year are not going to be in that bed. I'm going to rotate them to where the potatoes are, etc., and we're going to have a bed rotation. But some of the garlics were looking absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how they've done this year, considering sort of how off the burner I was with looking after them, unfortunately. So yeah, they're all going to be strung up in the shed, and we'll keep an eye on them, and hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll be able to start using those for cooking as well. Some of them as well going to be kept, and they're going to be used as the cloves to plant for next year's batch as well. Over in the wildflowers, the wildflower bed is looking really nice actually. Since I pulled all the grass out of it, it seems to have flourished a lot. We've got some daisies in there, we've got some poppies, we've got some of the sort of pinky purpley flower, which I really should know the name of but don't, and yeah, we've got some other bits and pieces, some more grasses that I probably need to pull back out, and shock horror, there's actually a couple of strawberries growing in there. Who would have thought that they would get all the way over there, but they're not actually growing where they're supposed to be growing. But yeah, there's two strawberries in there, and yeah, I've been keeping a close eye on them, so they are almost pretty much ready for picking, it looks like. Speaking of fruit that's ready for picking, the currant bushes are looking absolutely fabulous, so that's probably going to be on my job list for this coming week, or possibly sort of next weekend, etc., depending on how the rain goes, because yeah, we're due even more. Surprise, surprise. So that's been a whistle-stop tour of the allotment and all the goings on up here. I absolutely love this time of year. I wish that I'd been able to sow more things. Speaking of sowing, actually, we did sow some things last weekend with Eli and B, and so we've got a row of carrots, and I believe that they're an F1 type that I got on the front of Kitchen Garden magazine. We've then got a row of pak choy as well, because you know I'm into my pak choy, and then we've got a row of lettuce as well, Lolo Rosso, and that was on the front of a Kitchen Garden magazine as well. So that's at least filled up some of the beds, because at the moment I'm feeling a little bit guilty that I don't have an awful lot in the ground. So over the coming week or two I'm going to be raiding my seed tin and seeing exactly what I can get in for sort of the late summer autumn season. It might have to be things like sort of Swedes and stuff, but I'm hoping that I'm still in time to get some squashes in the ground. That would be absolutely wonderful, and I'm going to remember to build a wigwam much like I have with the current bushes to be able to go a bit more vertical rather than the spreading out that was last year. So I'm going to leave it there. Just been a nice chill and a chat, and just a show and tell really of what's been happening up here on the allotment. So thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I also appreciate everyone who takes the time to hit that subscribe button, tap the thumbs up or the thumbs down if there wasn't anything here that you found interesting or useful, I guess. Don't forget to leave a comment as well. Everyone that leaves a comment is super wonderful. I love hearing from you, what you're up to, your thoughts on what I'm up to, or just anything like that really. Yeah, it's all good. If you did want to go one step further, then I always have a Patreon. So if you wanted to support me through that, then that's completely optional, but it's a way of supporting content creators to continue creating content. So on that note, there's going to be a couple of videos up on the screen if you wanted to check those out if you haven't already. But until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your plots. Have a fantastic week, everyone. Cheers.